And tonight's special guest from YouTube is our very own Godless man, Godless Glen.
Hey.
Glenn, you and I sat around and chewed the fat for a couple hours one night because we got introduced from a friend that we both know. And we were sitting there. We actually, you and I share a lot of things in common.
Before we do? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, as I remember from our conversation, we do.
Yeah.
Our past anyway, not so much our present, but our past anyway. Now, before I get into that real quick, how did you come up with the name Godless Glen?
Wow. It really just came to me. I was just sitting around one day and was trying to think of what would be a good catchy name for my Facebook. This was before I started doing the YouTube. At least I think it was before I did the YouTube. And I went and then I got it everywhere. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, Gmail.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, because, hey, you never know when you're going to use any of those services. So, yeah, if I recommend anyone, if you come up with some kind of catchy name, go secure it everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I get teased about my name pretty often, and, I have Christians say funny things to me like, oh, it should be God Bless Glen.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I've had 2 or 3 Christians tell me that. Yeah, some of them they refuse to call me Godless Glen. It's pretty funny, but yeah.
Yeah, that's well, that just goes to show you the mindset of some people. Glenn, a while back, you and I had got a chance to sit around and chew the fat for about an hour or so, and we actually had our background on some points, or actually have some things in common. You were involved, if I may, involved in the religion Pentecostalism. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you actually were going to become like a pastor or something like that?
I was.
Yeah. And I was involved in that same religion as well. As I don't know if you remember the conversation there. But if things, I look at it like this: if things had
I've slept since then, so I probably have forgot half of what you said.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
I have a mind. Like I said, my memory's good for 5 minutes or 5 feet. Sometimes, but some things they do get stuck in the trap. But
damn short-term memory. Yeah. I can remember things from when I was fucking 3 years old.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but I can't remember what I had for lunch.
Yeah. But go ahead.
But anyway, no, you almost became a pastor, or you were in the process of doing so, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, I was.
And,
I actually did preach a few times.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think for myself, if my life had been gone a little differently and wasn't as fucked up as it was, I probably would have been doing the same thing that you were going into there, or were about to do too. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm sorry. I actually had some other questions here. What decided you? What brought you out of the Pentecostalism? Besides the fact that it's crazy like everything else.
I left. I really left the Pentecostal movement around the same time I left Christianity, and the main reason was because of the ethical issues I found in the Bible, and it's funny because sometimes people will think I'm being contradictory, and they're like, well, over here you say you became an atheist because of the Bible, but really that's really not what it is. I think what happened is that's what got the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, I became I deconverted because of the Bible, but I became an atheist because of the mix with history and science. But I talk mostly about the ethical problems of the Bible because that's really what bothered me the most. I mean, had I would have never found stories of God and a warrior making a deal and the man sacrificing his daughter to God, and then a prophet cursing a bunch of kids because they poked fun at him for being bald, and God sending 2 bears to rip him from limb to limb. Yep. Stories like that.
Oh, and then not just any bears, female bears.
Yeah. So God sent 2 bears to rip up 42 kids, I think it is, And story after story. And you don't just walk away from religion overnight. You don't just wake up and say, I'm an atheist. No, it takes a long time to get all of that baggage off of you. And I mean, it took 33 years to accumulate all of the bullshit I had, and it took about a year to fully walk away. I questioned and all that, but it was mainly the ethical issues. And then I realized, hey, Genesis 1, from the opening verse of the Bible, it's completely false. It doesn't line up with reality.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I began to mix it all together, and I looked at it from every angle, trust me. And people are amazed. Like, how could you go from being a Pentecostal, someone that's on fire for Jesus, preaching the gospel, to an atheist? Because I read the Bible. That's why I'm an atheist.
Oh, yeah.
That's what got everything started. I would have never questioned probably the things, the contradictions and the discrepancies and all of that had I not had a problem with that. But I don't want to stay too much on that, but that's really what started it for me.
Oh, yeah. What started myself, one of the things that got me out of it was something from a Bible study, actually, a home Bible study. For me, this is what it was. They talked about how they went to give tithes because, in the Pentecostal religion, they're pushing tithes all the time because, they got to make sure that the church head is paid and everything. And they said that they got, I don't know if it was Adam and Eve or whoever it was, they're like, there's nobody else around, but all of a sudden they come across this one guy that just pops out of nowhere and says, oh, by the way, you got to pay God his tithes. And it's like, where did this guy come from? Oh, well, he just kind of like popped into existence and then he just popped out again. And it's like, oh, he was like an angel or some shit like that. It's like, okay, God makes this big production over creating Adam and Eve, but some guy just appears out of nowhere just to say, oh, by the way, you got to give God money. Oh, yeah, that's real intelligent, Yeah. So that, for me, that was my first step to going, something ain't right here.
Yeah.
But I kept it in the back of my head, and one day, it all came to a head. It's like, this isn't right for me. So
yeah. And speaking of the whole thing about money, that actually, the last few years I was a Christian, I've seen all the abuses with the money. Inside the church, you've got all of the crazy prosperity message. And what's crazy is I actually bought into that for years before my final days, months, I guess you could say, as a Christian. I was extremely skeptical of all that. But there's a guy by the name of Mike Murdoch, and he gets on TV, and he's like, oh, there's a little old lady right now watching me. If you'll plant that $1,000 seed, God is going to pay off your home. This is bullshit.
Yeah, it's going to pay off somebody's home. His.
Yeah, exactly. And like he will accept people's wills. Instead of saying, no, give this to your children, he will take dying widows' properties.
Oh, yeah.
And these ministers, honestly, it sickens me. The two things I hate worse, I think, in this world is greed, when to the point to where you are taking advantage of other people, and then the harm of religion, where people are harmed, abused, denied their rights, stuff like that. So when you take a religious leader who is abusing people financially, and it is abuse, really, because you're saying, oh, God is saying, and your name is John, and you have to give me a check for $1,000 or whatever the number is. It angered me so much.
Send me $1,000 and God will send you $1 million.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the 100-fold, and they talk about the 100-fold return. Give $1, God will give you 100. Yeah. It's just craziness.
It is. It's total bullshit, and they know it. And the thing is, people believe it.
They do.
And
my parents still give to the 700 Club. I'm like, Mom, don't give them any money.
Oh no, your mom gives to them?
She does, yes.
That would drive me crazy.
It would, yeah.
I know. She loves Pat Robertson.
Oh,
He's such a good man.
he's such a good man.
And he's so smart. I'm
So
like,
smart.
"Mom."
Except for when he's like, he's putting down women and things like that and telling, oh, it's okay for the guy to cheat, but she better, like, put up her panties and just stick them in her face, because, woo, whatever. Yeah.
Pat Robertson is saying more and more batshit crazy stuff as he gets older.
Yeah.
Well, he's losing it.
Yeah, he's definitely
Yeah, he totally is.
Yes, totally.
But he's coming around on some issues. Like a while back, he said, "No, the Earth isn't a few thousand years old after all." He.
I saw that. Yeah.
That's a great video. It's like, oh, it's not a few thousand years old. What are you talking about, people?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
But that video is also completely about him trying to unify people. He wants people to of like minds to get together. I don't know if he necessarily agrees with it, but he's...
Yeah, well...
But anyway, I got to move on to my next question here real quick. I've seen your intro. I got to know, how did you do that intro?
Well...
What program did you use for that?
It looks like I've got mad skills, but,
They're better than mine!
And I've used programs before that I had to do most of the hard labor with the animation and stuff. I use Final Cut Pro because I'm a big Mac user.
Yeah, that's what I used to.
I hate Windows. Sorry, all you Windows fans, but and so I use Final Cut Pro, and then I use a number of different plugins. I've got about 4 different ones that do text, maybe more, text and intros and different things like that. But
you'll have to share those with me after the show because I got to figure out how you did that. That the intro you have on your videos is awesome.
Well, thank you, and I've tweaked it. It used to be longer, and then all it took was someone to post a comment somewhere on a different channel, and they're like, the intro's kind of long. And I thought, you know what? You're right. It is too long. I'm a very impatient guy, and in some of my videos you can tell I get right to the point, and I edit out every bit of silence. I mean, I almost overlap my sentences. I snip away everything like that's dead silence, all the uhs and the ums, because hey, I want everybody else's time. I want them to know that they can come watch my stuff. And everybody's different, but I actually watch people that's just like talking, just like you would talk in everyday life, and I enjoy those. But for me, it bothers me for my videos to have those things in it.
So you've been watching me edit, have you? This is what the show looks like after I've gone through and edited all the and then I take a lot of the stuff I'm sitting here going out of my video. So that one I'm going to leave in. But
I found out when I use a teleprompter that I stay on topic a lot easier.
Teleprompter. Why don't I think of that? Well, wait a minute. That's right. I do this show by the seat of my ass.
But yeah, so a teleprompter. But then I've had a couple of comments where somebody said it looked like you was reading. One of my good friends actually said, "Dude, you sound like a robot," and that hurt my feelings. So I'm like, "Damn!" I'm like,
I would love to be called a robot. It's like, oh yes, that means I have better intelligence than you.
yeah. So teleprompter on an iPad, and then Final Cut Pro, and some plugins, and I'll share those plugins with you. But it does a lot of the work for you.
That's cool.
Really,
definitely cool. Okay, I'm gonna, as they say, open the floor up to other questions here. Joe, did you have a questions for Godless Glen?
I do. Glenn,
yes.
I spent last night going through your channel, watching tons of your videos. I really like your stuff. I think you make some really great videos.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I watched your among others. I watched your Speaking in Tongues is BS. Creationism is BS.
We actually did a thing on Talking in Tongues just a couple weeks ago, didn't we, Joe?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was great.
Presumptuous Pricks. And you made a really good video called Good Christians versus Good Atheists. I thought that was a really great video. I actually tweeted it out after I watched it.
Oh,
you touched on something in what you were talking to Packard about. In your Miracles is BS video, you mentioned that money just suddenly shows up. Now, I've had people on Twitter say that to me. I'll be talking to people and I'll be like, well, what proof of God do you have? And they'd be like, well, here's what happened. I was in debt. I owed all this money. And then all of a sudden I get a letter that everything was paid off. And I knew God paid my bills. So there's my proof. And whenever
Right.
I'm confronted with that, I'm just like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, there was this truck traveling down the road that had a bunch of money inside, and it just like, popped right out. And
Not
say,
even
God
that.
must
It
want me to
doesn't matter
have,
that their money was paid. Like,
and God must have wanted me to have this money because he dropped it in my lap. Oh no, that was actually the bank's.
Now, what do you, Glenn, think about those kind of claims? Like, are those people just batshit crazy? Are they lying? Did somebody pay their bill for them and they're just falsely attributing it? Like, I've often wondered about that. Like, I've always been stumped by that, like dumbfounded. Like, what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah, are you a former Christian?
No.
Okay. Well, it would be a little bit easier, I think, maybe to understand their mindset. I've had a number of Christians that do things, but then something nice. They do something nice for someone, but then they go, "This is God. God did it." Mm-hmm. And then when those people go give the testimony, well, God, I want to give my testimony tonight. God blessed me with $50. Now, they don't tell you a lot of times who actually gave the money, because then God would lose part of the credit, obviously. But a lot of people look at it as they think God is speaking to them to do nice things. I had a lady a while back. She kept saying, God is who is giving you. She gave me a bed, a mattress for my daughter, and she kept saying, God did it, God did it. When, I'll be real honest here, she told her church that I needed one, and I really didn't even need one, but she told her church, and then the church, like, oh, okay, there's a need here, let's mail it to him free of charge. Mm-hmm. But she just kept going on and on about how this was a miracle from God, and it was no miracle.
She told somebody, and
Yes.
the thing is, if she hadn't told anybody, you know what? She still wouldn't have that mattress. Oh, is that another miracle? Oh, it's a miracle of not God.
Yeah, and get the funny thing, okay? My daughter would not sleep on that bed because it was uncomfortable. So here's my thing, okay? And I actually said this to her at one point because she started griping at me on my Facebook wall, and eventually, and talking about how this was a miracle from God. Eventually, I said, seriously, if this was a miracle from God, don't you think God would have known which mattress was comfortable for my daughter? I said, she won't sleep on it. So there you go. God bought her the shittiest
great.
mattress and the ugliest bed frame that he could find. I'm serious. And you know what? She probably thought,
you know what? They'll say, you know what they'll say? I think this is what they'll say. They say, well, it wasn't God that did it. It was, God's helper, like Santa's helper. He just gave God the wrong information. That was supposed to go to the bum down the street, and he sent the good mattress to him. It was a miscommunication is what it was. It wasn't God's fault. It was just a miscommunication on our part somewhere,
yeah, but getting this lady to agree that it wasn't a miracle would never happen. And it's just, it blows my mind because the whole premise of it was it's a miracle, but it's not a miracle because she told someone. And then the fact that she wants to continue to say it was, when clearly it wasn't even suitable for my daughter. I just laugh. It's so funny. It really is so funny.
So what you're saying then is they're not necessarily just making it up, but what they're doing is they're falsely attributing other people's kindness and charity to God.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Them. And they even go so far as to ask for that help, but then attribute it to God.
They do that at times, yes.
Huh. Okay, well, that clears that helps me a lot, because, like, whenever someone says that to me, I'm just like, wait, what? Huh? Like, the money just magically appeared? What they're not telling me is they asked for it and someone gave it to them. Yeah,
that happened. Yeah, that does happen sometimes. But there are, let's face it, there are coincidences. And there are, someone may feel like they have the need to slip you a 20. They may be a Christian or an atheist or whatever. And, of course, a Christian is going to be like, oh, well, this is a gift from God. But, no, they may have just heard you tell your daughter in the line, oh, honey, I'm sorry, I can't buy you that bag of chips because, we need to wait till payday. Mm-hmm. You just never know what could be,
people people have ears. They use those.
Right.
Yeah.
People pay it forward.
Yeah. I have a quick question here for you, Glenn. Is there any YouTube videos or anything you use for your inspiration to do your videos?
Yeah. Are you talking about like different YouTube?
Yeah. Who inspires you when you go out? You're hunting on YouTube. You say, "Oh, hey, that's a great topic," or
Yeah.
I can't believe this guy's actually think that this is real, and I have to go. This guy's an idiot, and here's why.
Yeah. Let's see. That's a good question, and I know if I start naming channels, I will leave out a few. But I will say
we'll
this.
come to another time eventually.
Well, I will say this, that the Barking Atheist, I like his. He actually.
I haven't seen a video from him in a while, actually.
Well, he just uploaded one again. I think he's back doing YouTube videos, but he just released one about the thaw, a rebuttal to that video.
Oh, the thaw. Oh, I've been seeing this all over the place. That is a fucking ridiculous video.
Yeah. And I would do one, but it would take me forever. And I've had people say, "When are you going to do a thaw rebuttal?" Yeah, probably not. It's been covered. What else could I say that's not been raised already?
And we were talking about a little while ago indoctrination of children. That's a perfect example of indoctrination of children right there.
Exactly. Yes. But I would say the Barking Atheist, Daniel, is I get inspiration from him because I like his style, and he's real direct. He edits his videos pretty cleanly, and I don't try to mimic anybody, but it influenced. And I also like, the Messianic Manic, or is it Maniac? Damn it. Messianic Manic, I think. Anyway, I like his style. He's really intelligent. And, he just stands right in front of the camera. And I think he usually does a lot of his videos in black and white.
Oh, that's a different take on the whole thing.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of bells and whistles with his videos, but I don't care because I watch him for what he has to say. So I like that channel quite a bit. So yeah, I get a lot of inspiration. I used to watch The Amazing Atheist a lot, and I used to watch Mr. Repzian a lot. And I've actually shifted my viewing habits more toward the smaller atheists, and I guess you could say, I don't know, but
I like how you shout out other channels in some of your videos. I think that's cool of you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so too. I mean, it's this way, it gives.
Yeah,
we'd like to do that here on this show too. We like to talk about other people and say, hey, give them the boost up, because you never know who you're gonna learn about by watching somebody else's channel.
Yeah.
Dave, did you have a question for Glenn?
My first question is, in the picture that you have, are you playing with yourself?
Oh my god. Okay, this is the second time I've been asked that question, so I'm gonna get a new picture.
Is that because the answer is yes, or because the answer is no?
No, that's where his sleep button is. He's getting ready to take a nap. You ever seen that Married with Children? That Al Bundy gets done with work, he sticks his hand in his pants. Yeah, that's what it is. It's
I do that as well. It's comfortable. But
of course it is.
I'm just asking. I saw the picture. I thought it was my first thought. I'm sorry.
Wow. I use my pockets a lot. I mean, when I go to pose for a picture, my hands usually go in my pockets, and so
You have holes in those pockets, don't you?
yeah, I've got a secret hole that goes. But
chains falls right through.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. But
okay, so besides that, I heard you talking earlier about Elijah's story in Kings with the bald child.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific story that you read and felt that it was unbelievable while you're going through your process to becoming an atheist?
Yeah. Well, I started questioning basically all the stories, and there was a lot of things about Jesus, like his genealogies.
Sure.
They don't line up in the Gospels. Was he born of a virgin? Was it a virgin birth, or was it a natural birth? Because only one You got one gospel that says one thing, and then another one that omits that interesting part about a virgin birth, and
right, so, and that leads to a lot of different denominations.
Yeah. I question a lot of things like the Tower of Babel, Noah's Ark, the creation story, and one by one, I realized this is BS. But and then the thing about Jesus, of course, everything crumbles if Jesus isn't what he is claimed to be, and if he didn't return, and that was a really big one for me. He didn't return when he said he would.
Yep.
He
said he was going to return within their lifetimes, and
He wasn't thinking about people 2,000. He wasn't thinking about people 2,000 years later. Oh, he meant the generation living today. No, that's not what he said. But
that's what I try to make Christians understand is he's going to return in our lifetimes. No. That's not what it says. It says he's going to return within their lifetimes, not ours. That time is come and gone.
Yeah, and the other gospel writers, too, in the New Testament, I say gospel writers, the other New Testament writers actually had the idea, it's at the door, it's here, his coming is very close. I mean, surely they wouldn't be talking about a generation 2,000 years later. That don't make any sense. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is that your fundamental premise for why you became an atheist, or what is your specific reason? That, I mean, out of everything that you've learned, is there a trigger for you deciding that God is not real?
Yeah, 90% of the time when I highlight why I'm an atheist, I go back to the Bible and I show that my wife just said Jephthah. The final straw for me was the story of Jephthah. And you can clearly see where God made Jephthah, and God made a deal. And Jephthah said, "Hey, God, I'll sacrifice the first thing that comes out of my home if you do this for me." And God did what he requested. I mean, it was a conspiracy. God wanted a human sacrifice, and I know that pisses Christians off when I say that, but I'm sorry. I mean, it shouldn't be so hard to understand that God likes human sacrifice. Jesus.
He likes the smell. I mean, historically, most of what I understand is that he really enjoys the smell of burning flesh.
Well, the Bible says that. It says it's a sweet aroma to his nostril.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it actually does say that.
Yeah, it's sick.
It is sick. When I heard that, and I'm just like, and today, I actually kind of forgot about that. But the thing is, for myself, the fact that God likes the smell of burning flesh. I mean, I'm thinking he must go to a lot of barbecues or something, but I don't know. It's just the fact that a God that's created a whole universe, suns and whatnot, but smelling animal flesh burning. Yeah. Oh, this is what gets him off? I mean, really?
It was for years, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what appeased his anger. You had to offer, I think, at least once a year. I don't know how often they did the sacrifices, honestly, but however often
it depends. I mean, it depends on the story and what your transgressions were.
Yeah. So I mean, he really did get off on that. It's like, okay, now it was like the equivalent of his cigarette. Okay, I mean, or a beer, whatever.
I'm gonna watch these little people, these little anthy people. Watch this. I'm gonna blow it off.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what calmed him down. Today would be like, oh, it's been a rough week at work. I just want to punch somebody, but I'm going to smoke a cigarette, or I'm going to smoke a joint.
He smoked a lot of people.
Yeah.
He smited them.
He smited them. The whole appeasing God thing, I have a whole other topic on that.
That's a different conversation.
That's a whole other conversation we'll come into another time.
Yeah. We'll change that one next time.
It stems from the Jewish tradition of scapegoating.
Yes, it does, actually. Dave, did you have any other questions, or does any? I'll tell you what. Let's take a question from the chat.
I believe that's it.
That's it. Okay.
That's it for me.
All right. Okay, that's fine.
We know each other well now.
All right. There you go. Krista wants to know, where are you from? She's in the chat room. She wasn't feeling good enough to get up here and talk tonight, but
I live in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, currently.
Knoxville.
I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee, just down the road from here.
Cleveland. No, it's,
And he has a very nice red couch. Just watch his videos.
yes.
Yes. Yes, and people do like my couch.
Yeah,
but,
Crystal's from the South, too.
I bet they love
I know
your
my
couch.
people. I
Yeah.
know my people.
Yeah. I get picked on because of my Southern accent, but I don't think it's as strong as some of the other people's around here.
Oh,
but
no.
who knows?
It's not that noticeable. I'm just...
Well,
I
thank
like
you.
to I give everybody, tease a little bit of everybody. Does anybody else have any questions from the chat room?
Hey, Glenn, I was looking at your Twitter, and you're at Godless Glen on Twitter.
Yep.
And I noticed that when you upload a video, you tweet it. And I
Yeah.
think that's great because that's a good way to get it out. The atheist community on Twitter, we all watch the atheist hashtags.
Oh, okay.
And if you added the atheist hashtags whenever you announced a new video, we'd all see it. We would all
absolutely.
Do it.
So if you put #atheist #atheism on each tweet of a new video link, then the whole community will see it. And when people retweet it, it retweets into its own hashtag, so people see it as long as it gets retweeted.
Yeah, and you don't have a whole lot
I
of
agree.
followers on Twitter. So if you're out there, follow Godless Glen on Twitter. It's GODLESSGLEN, no space in there.
Yeah, I'm not very popular on Twitter, but I've not really spent a lot of time, and I didn't, I've not really thought about using the hashtags on there. So I'm glad he gave me that tip.
The whole community watches them. Like we all we
Yeah,
have
you
them
have,
saved
you have
searches
to
and
do
we-
that. Hashtag atheist roll call as well will get you a
Exactly.
lot of notoriety.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. I mean, this is the first anyone ever recommended I do that, and I really don't spend a lot of time in the Twitter universe, whatever. So
It's
yeah.
a chat room to the world. You can talk to anybody in real time.
Oh, pretty
Well,
much almost real time, yeah.
being
It's,
limited to
it's
so
powerful, and you can direct people back to your YouTube videos very easily.
Oh,
from
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
I tweeted a couple of your videos last night, and when I did, I made sure to hashtag them.
Yeah, Glenn, do you have a Facebook account or a web page that you would like people to go to see your other works, or do you have a blog or something somewhere?
I don't have a blog. Anyone's welcome to add me as a friend on Facebook. Some people are real skeptical of listen.
How do I find you on Facebook?
Yeah, Godless Glen. Facebook.com/Godless Glen. You can add me on there.
All right.
Dog and Dog actually has a question for you. Do you ever debate
Okay.
fundies on your Facebook?
Oh, okay. I do, and I've lost. Of course, I've lost friends on Facebook.
Shocking.
Yeah, most
Like that never happens.
That never happens.
Never happens. You're the first one.
Yeah. Most of the people that now they've stuck around long enough, they know that I'm going to bash the Bible, so they've learned to put up with me, I think. So, but yeah, I do. You know what? Here lately, it's really not been that much of it going on. So I used to get into a lot of discussions on Facebook, but I spent a lot of time researching, scripting, and then doing my videos for YouTube. So I don't spend a lot of time on there as much as I used to.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook myself. I just,
Yeah.
I've got so much stuff going on right now. I can barely spend my time doing this.
Yeah, it can get very time consuming.
Yes, this show is very time consuming. Okay, if we don't have any other questions, Glenn, we can find you on YouTube as Godless Glen. Is that all one word on YouTube as well?
Yes.
All right. That's
One with one N, correct?
right.
Yes, one in.
One N. That's GODLESSGLEN. That's on YouTube. Just Google Godless Glen in the Google machine. I'm doing a Rachel Maddow now. She calls everything a machine, but that's absolutely not. I'm picking on Rachel Maddow now.
Awesome.
So Twitter. So they can follow me on Twitter, friend me on Facebook, and then subscribe to me. If you like, if you just love my stuff, if you don't like me, then subscribe to me.
I love
if you
your
don't like
stuff.
me. No, I'm just kidding,
I liked your videos, especially the one because you talked about one real quickly here about how Jesus called this woman a dog, and I just learned about that one just several weeks about a week ago before I actually had a chance to watch that video. It's like, oh yeah, and I got to watch your take on that, and you're absolutely right. I mean, he took that opportunity if Jesus ever existed to say, hey, back off, people. She's not a dog. But to say, oh, you got to give them the dogs the crumbs off the table. I mean, that was total garbage. I mean, she might as well call them might call her or a racist name I won't use here on the show. But it's the same thing, basically.
Yeah. You would think the perfect Son of God, the Messiah, would say, "Hey, no, you're not a dog. You're not a second-class citizen. You're made in God's image, whatever." But Yeah,
we're all in God's image except for the people who don't believe in God. So then you're dogs in those cases.
Right.
So,
It's an inconsistent message. It doesn't follow with what he said, like in the Sermon on the Mount and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was drunk when he gave that anyway, or somebody who was trying to tell was drunk.
Matt Dillahunty wrote up a big, ripping apart of the Sermon on the Mount that he put on Aaron Chariot's wiki. He was talking about it on his show not too long ago, and I went and looked at it, but I didn't read the whole thing. I want to read the whole thing because it looks really interesting.
Can you send me a link, Joe?
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Glenn, if you get a chance to add me on Facebook, facebook.com/Packard Pokes At. Anyway, I'll tell you what, we've had such a wonderful time here, but we do need to get going because we are running way long. We're running in now 2 hours, so I might have to trim a couple stories from the show here. If you want to get a hold of us, I want before we get going, actually, Glenn, I want to thank you very much for coming to the show and joining us tonight, and I will get a copy of the video out to you, and thank you for entertaining us with yourself there. I mean,
well, I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. And we'll please come back. And, hey, if nothing else, just come out and hang out in the chat room with us crazies out here. So
yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah, thanks for being on, Glenn.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.